Sure.
This is the Where's Mark segment of the Steele County Times. We've been all over the country here lately. We were from the Prince Memorial to the Vikings cheerleaders to the Twins game, to the hockey stick factory, and now we have the unbelievable privilege of talking with David Smith Jr. He's called the human cannonball. David, you want to tell him why they call you the cannonball?
Well, that's the job description. They call me the bullet most of the time.
The bullet.
The bullet. But I'm a human cannonball. I'm second generation human cannonball, actually. Kind of following in my father's life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when did your dad start doing this?
My dad was a cannonball 42 years. And he retired, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. He did it all the way up until he was almost 70 years old. And then he retired to the mountains of Utah and just kind of farming and taking care of family and friends.
So has he got any souvenir cannons out there in Utah? Or?
Oh no, all the cannons are still operational except for 2. He built 8 cannons in his time.
Okay.
This is cannon number 8 right here that we've got at the Steele County Free Fair.
What made him want to be a human cannonball? I mean, did he just get up one day and just decide to put himself in a cannon and launch himself, or what?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, really, he and my mother met in Utah State in their postgraduate work, both master's degrees. And then my father was teaching school, and see, he was a gymnast in college, and he took that. He got a phone call from a friend of his, a gymnastics buddy, and said, "Hey, would you like to come and be a part of a flying trapeze act that's going to tour the country?" And what do you mean, like in a circus? And I said, yes. And he and my mom put everything they owned out on the front yard and sold it all in 3 days and left the road and never came back. So, I mean, the story about my dad transitioning, that got him into entertainment and the circus business.
That's kind of the quintessential definition of running away to join the circus, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's exactly what that is.
Isn't that everybody's dream?
I don't know.
So were you brought up in this kind of a life?
I grew up mostly in the circus business. Yeah, in the circus itself. And then as a cannonball for the last 20 years, I've taken the cannon out of the circus and taken it all over the world.
Pretty much on your own.
Yeah, I mean, to fairs, festivals, events, we did race tracks. This year's been all about baseball. We've done like 20 games in the last couple months. And
so how did you get into this? Just followed your dad's footsteps and?
Yeah, he called me. I was 19 years old. I'd done a couple of practice shots at 17 in Oregon, but he called me when I was 19 years old and I was out just living life and had regular jobs. Well, not regular. I've never had a regular job. I've always been in entertainment or moving or traveling at some point. I've had a life of travel, non-stop travel. And yeah, he called me up and said, "Son, I've hurt my back and I'd like you to come in and start learning." It was just a small show that he was working on, and they said, "Sure, bring Dave in," and Dave Jr. in, and let him start doing performances. And I had 3 days notice to drop what I was doing, cross the country, and climb in a cannon for the first time in a show, and that's what I did.
And you were 19 when that happened?
I was 19 years old.
And you've been doing it for 20 years. What's the hardest part of your body? What's the big thing about being shot out of a cannon? I know it's kind of like an elevator that shoots you, correct?
A very, very fast elevator.
A very fast elevator.
Yeah, there's nothing elevator like about it. It's an instant transition from still to high speed. I mean, there's no...
And then the landing.
Yeah, and the landing's very, it's the hardest part about it. Depends on what you hurt, I mean, it can be a fairly rough sport, and the amount of shows and the size of the cannon shots that I've done for 20 years it takes a toll. I've got all kinds of sore spots. And most recently, just last Tuesday, I hurt my back doing a show in New York, and I haven't had that kind of pain in cannon shots for a long time. So I mean, I did something pretty severe to muscles down there. I think it's muscle, it's not spinal. But my morning I woke up, headed off to the chiropractor and met a new chiropractor, and I've seen 50 of them.
So the chiropractors love to see you coming, probably.
I know, I'm a challenge.
Well, you do 2 shows a day here at the show at the Steele County Free Fair. And how many shows do you do a year? Ballpark it for me.
Well, it changed. I've actually made a conscious decision to not do events where I have to do multiple cannon shots.
Okay.
Very much. But I used to do between 350 and 500 shots a year for the first 15 years of my career. Anyone?
Has that taken
That's
a toll?
a lot of shots. It's also kept me very physically and mentally sharp.
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off. But yeah, I mean, when you get a bad landing or a windy gust or something, or an uncomfortable net or a bad takeoff, there's not somebody else to call to come and do this. I can't call in sick. I can't call in injured. I mean, unless I really am injured to a point where I can't do it. But I've pushed, I've shot with swollen knees, dislocated shoulders, ruptured.
What's the worst accident you've been in?
I tore a hole through the net before. I woke up on the ground about 8 minutes later. That was pretty scary.
Knocked you unconscious, huh?
Knocked me unconscious, yeah. I said about 8-10 minutes, something like that. And broke a bunch of ribs and things.
Wow.
I don't know if that's the worst or not. That one didn't have a long-lasting effect because I just did a cannon shot after being away from it and out of shape for family reasons. That had nothing to do with any of this exercise and the maintenance of a cannonball. And I jumped on an airplane, flew to Franklin, Tennessee, and climbed in a cannon the next day and actually ruptured a disc in my back. And life goes on. You do what you got to do. But I spent 2 years and probably hundreds of cannon shots doing them with tears in my eyes, just because that was what was required of me at that time. So I mean, it has some. It's gonna take a toll.
Yeah.
But I'm also in a heck of a lot better shape than most 39-year-olds.
Well, I guess. I guess to take that many shots a year. Now, are you married, David?
I'm not. No.
My wife would never want me to do something this crazy. I know that she lets me do crazy things, but nothing like this. But
most wives would encourage their husbands to get shots.
So do you have kids?
I have 4 beautiful children.
Okay. Is there going to be a David Smith Jr.?
Yeah, there's a Maverick. His name's Maverick.
Serious?
Maverick David Smith, and he. I don't think he's going to let me talk him out of it. He's only 10 years old right now, but he's pretty hard set on doing this. And
Has he done a jump yet?
Oh no, he's not. He's not getting close to that cannon for a while.
Yeah. You got to pick him up and just throw him onto the net. And
well, yeah, I mean, there are certain prerequisites that you need to have. He's got to have some athletic ability.
Sure.
By the time he's wanting to do this, right now he's a fantastic young athlete, very talented, very, very coordinated as far as things like his body position when he does athletics, or when he falls off of the fence, he falls pretty good. I mean, those type of things. So that's natural inside of him, but I've got to develop that before I'd ever put him inside of a cannon, because there's that cannon goes bang, you are going to land. It's not just coming out of there. You have to, and you better land just right. Very little room for forgiveness, and I have a strange upbringing and natural skills and developed skills and sets inside of me that allow me to really save myself better than most people in that 4 seconds between blast off, realization of what's happening, and then correcting it and finding a survivable landing position.
Light flashing before your eyes every single jump.
Quick, man. Quick.
So when you're in that cannon, are you in a tuck position or are you in a straight lateral position when you take off?
I'm in a pretty straight, strong position.
So that must take some real toll on your knees, man.
My knees are in pretty good shape now. I blew one out, but it wasn't from shooting out of the cannon. It was a crazy landing in the net that got the knee caught. wipe that out. So yeah, and then I start favoring that and shooting out, and then all of a sudden that other hip that you're favoring on starts to, get worn down and beat up. So I took some time off last summer, or this year, from like November to January. I really just kind of shut down and rehabbed and rested. I haven't done that in a long time, just rested my body.
Feel good now?
I feel pretty good. I pinched that back the other day, but after I'm going to have to grit my teeth and get through the Steele County Free Fair, and then I'm back onto rehab, recovery mode, and start booking the rest of the season.
Okay,
I'm scheduling in time like an off season. That's when athletes make their bodies.
Sure.
And if you don't schedule that, then unless you're real young.
Yeah, that's like most athletes.
Yeah, so I've realized that I need to schedule that in. So I had this really grueling run that we're coming to an end right now. We've been in.
Now I know you're going to jump in about half an hour here, but last thing, you're in the cannon. What are you thinking of right before you're going? Take me through a launch.
All right. Well, the scary part for me is always right before I commit to the calculations on the cannon. The scary part is that, as long as it's not windy or something like that. Once I have committed to the power settings and the cannon shot that I want to have for that particular show, there's an acceptance that comes within me, and I've committed, and that's where I'm at. So normally when I get on top of that cannon, I don't have time to worry about a whole lot anymore. There is definitely adrenaline and stuff that comes inside, but I've learned to push all the freaky, scary stuff that'll get your mind carried away, and I mean, it's real easy to scare yourself and let that momentum build in there and come out just frazzled. So I don't. I really zone in. I really focus, and I try and get pencil sharp when I'm inside of that thing and just prepare for that countdown. I mean, the transition, even in the time from the countdown, from 10 down to 2, the focus and the intensity and the strength inside of my body, I just really channel that, grow it, and try to get springy, athletic, and strong, and boom, and come out with one thing on my mind, and that is straighten up, fly right.
You hit the net.
Yeah, and do whatever I can. There's a lot of things. Like here, I'm shooting into the sun. The 5:30 show, I can hardly see because I go from. So I stare out into the brightest thing I can for just a moment until right before I know I'm going, and I take my eyes down so I don't have as long of the eye adjustment from the dark barrel to the bright on the way out, and I get to see half of the cannon shot that way.
Sure.
So I mean, there's all kinds of little things, but mostly, it's focus inside the cannon. It's focus. Get ready for a big hit, a good flight, and hopefully a great landing, and then do it again.
And what would you tell other little kids that are looking at you and saying, "I want to do that someday"? What kind of advice would you give them?
I'd say eat healthy, make a strong body, and then come see me when you're old enough.
This has been David Smith Jr., great man, human cannonball. They call him the Bullet. And in just about half an hour now, we're going to watch him jump. So, thank you, David.
Right on. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, sir.
Awesome.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
County Free Fair. It's cannonball time. Are you guys ready? All right. Well, I'd love to see a lively crowd out here. I hope you're having a great day. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor, the Owatonna Motor Company, for helping to bring out the Human Cannonball Show back to Owatonna for this year's SCFF Steele County Free Fair. My name is David Smith Jr. I'm a second generation human cannonball. This cannon that I'm standing on now is actually the 8th cannon. It was handcrafted by my father, my brother, and myself. Now, I've been a cannonball for 20 years. I've traveled 15 countries around the world, blasting myself out of cannons, very similar to this one right here. I do say that this may be the greatest and latest of all the cannons that have ever been built for this particular purpose. Now, when I was just a boy, I watched my dad in glasses way into the record books, bringing home the title of the farthest flying human cannonball in history. I'm very proud to say that since that day, the world records never left the family. In fact, I watched my father shatter his own world records many times over, and then after his retirement, I asked for his blessing, and I am now the 4-time Guinness World Record holder for the longest human cannonball shots and twice for the highest human cannonball shots. I've logged over 7,000 cannon shots in the last 20 years to get to the point where I can attempt to blast like I'm going to here in just a moment. See, it's 150 feet from the end of this cannon barrel to where I hope to come crashing safely into that blue landing net. You can all wait to see how far away that netting is. But what you haven't seen yet is how high I'm going to be launched up into the sky. Miss Alicia Rhodes is at the control tree inside the cannon control box, and she's going to be pointing the cannon barrel up to 48 degrees for launch. Now, once that cannon is in the firing position, I'm going to slide down inside to the very bottom of the 35-foot gun and prepare myself for a blast that will fire me from 0 to about 60 miles per hour in the first 1/5 of a second. During that takeoff, it's a very strange feeling. It's 1 second I'm in the bottom of the cannon, listening to the countdown of my blast off, and before my eyes and my mind register that the cannon is fired, I figure I'm about 15 to 20 feet out of that barrel, flying up and over the top of the yo-yo ride here this afternoon, where I will top off about 70 feet high. Now, at the top of the trajectory, I'm going to really spot my target. My eyes will adjust to the brightness of outside, and it will be up to me to turn a full somersault to hopefully come crashing safely inside of that blue netting. Now, that netting is the only thing between myself and a very rough landing out here at the showground, so this time I'm going to take one last trip down to the landing net, make sure that it's ready to catch me, and while I do that, what do you guys say we fire up the cannon and get it ready for launch? Are you guys ready? All right, then, here we go. It's showtime.
Looking good, David. Praying for you, man.
All right, a final look at the landing zone here by David Smith. Yes, indeed. Want to make sure that everything is right. All right, we got the thumbs up. We're ready to go.
was the shot, David?
Good.